you, Madam Chair. And let me follow up a little bit on what Senator Cornyn was asking, because in this specifically, I saw you nodding when he was talking about this special program for training, and a lot of that's been going on for a long time. I think, as you've acknowledged, state attorneys general and others working across the border. But if you get the investigators in place, do they have the judicial system to really carry out the full panoply of whatever you need to do to bring these folks to justice? I mean, that's one of the sides of it that I've really worried about a lot.
I think we're making progress on that. There's been significant training by the Department of Justice, training prosecutors, programs to support bar associations, and of course the defense bar is part of that program. The longer-term effort is the transformation of the Mexican judicial system from an accusatorial one to, from an inquisitorial one to an accusatorial one. They've just passed about a year ago, the constitutional change that's required to do that, and they've given themselves about an 8-year window to get this done in. I think we'd all like to see that move as quickly as it could, but our experience in assisting the Colombians and the Chileans through a similar program is that it does take a significant amount of time. The Mexican government is a federal government, though, and the states are moving out in some respects more quickly, particularly individual states. And so we have active programs there that are further along. In particular, in several of the border states, in Nuevo León and in Chihuahua, the programs there are making more progress, and I think the conviction rates are going up as part of that process. But it's an ongoing effort, and I think you've touched on one of the key issues that has to be addressed in order to have, if you will, a complete cycle of criminal justice. You have to have an effective judiciary and corrections as well as police for this actually to work well.
Mr. Placido, did you have a comment on that?
I'd add just one thing that we're very encouraged by. Mexico has recently established what they call a special counter-narcotics tribunal. And it is a central tribunal where the judges are based in Mexico City, and it was designed to deal with a specific problem. Much as in the United States, Mexico had required investigators to go to a magistrate or a judge that is closest to the alleged criminal activity to seek out warrants or authorize criminal intercepts. But as Co-Chairman Grassley had mentioned, one of the things that our counterparts in Mexico face is a situation of intimidation and violence, and they're confronted with that bribes or bullets mentality. What this new court allows them to do is go to a centralized tribunal based in Mexico City that can be protected and seek three things: cateos, or orders of detention, preliminary investigative detention, search warrants, that's the arraigos, cateos, the search warrants, and third, interception of communications devices. And doing this from a central tribunal that is protected from the day-to-day problems associated with violence and corruption has made an impact in allowing these vetted units with whom we work to become more effective. So it's a step in the right direction. And we're encouraged by several of the other things that they're doing in Mexico as well.
Great, great. Let me congratulate our chair and just compliment her for her comments about the cross-border kidnappings and the house break-ins. We in particular in New Mexico became very concerned when we saw this murder of this rancher on the Arizona-New Mexico border, and he was apparently a very friendly individual that used to help people out, was known to give away his lunch if somebody was coming across his land, and apparently somebody came over and shot him and then went back into Mexico. And that's caused a level of concern that was reflected on one of my visits to the White Sands testing range. Now here they're a significant distance from the border, but a engineering battalion was being deployed to Afghanistan, and one of the questions I got from the group was his family going to be safe on this base as a result of this kind of activity that he was seeing, and what was occurring, whether he was reading about the kidnappings or the home invasions or break-ins or this particular murder. What can you recommend? And I want to specifically ask you about one bill that I think several members of this caucus are on. And it's a grant program within the Department of Justice focusing on law enforcement on our side of the border to within 150 miles of the border to try and give them support for whatever they're doing, or coalitions of law enforcement agencies working. Does that sound like it is something that needs to be done, putting additional resources on our side to the coalitions that are working on this? Would that you think answer some of the concern that we see that citizens have, resulting in what they read and then what they see happen in their communities?
Well, thank you for the question. Clearly, the Merida Initiative was needed to help our partners in Mexico, Central America, and to a limited extent the Caribbean. Unfortunately, that is foreign assistance money, and it goes to our foreign partners, and there was no corresponding increase at the federal or state municipal level to deal with this problem. And I think one of the things that is oftentimes lost on people dealing with this problem of transnational crime is that the criminals get a vote. They are not a static target. They react to what we do. And as increased pressure has been put on these criminal organizations in Mexico, they have spilled into other areas of criminality. Some of the drug ripoffs that you see in the United States, we believe, reflect the fact that it's more difficult to smuggle drugs into the United States now. In fact, we're sitting on a 2.5-year wave in which the price per pure gram of cocaine is way up and purity is down, reflecting the difficulty in moving that drug through Mexico. But what happens then is those loads that do get through the United States are more valuable, and organizations who are unable to smuggle drugs through steal from rivals in order to maintain their profit margins. And so this is, to some extent, in our view anyway, the balloon effect, and as we squeeze in Mexico, we have to consider putting additional pressure in the United States as well to maintain the same level of effect.
And a lot of it is cooperation between the law enforcement agencies on our side and their side, which if we aren't beefed up to that level, we can't cooperate as effectively, I think. Thank you, Madam Chair. I have another hearing, but I think this has been a very, very important hearing,
well, thank
and
you.
look forward
thank you.
to
We appreciate
being
you
briefed on all
stopping
of it.
by.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You bet.